Hi, it's Dreyer and welcome to the Financial Freedom Challenge, where our mission is to help you to create, to grow, to protect and to enjoy a life of abundance. And today I'd like to talk to you about the cost of the pink elephant. Now, I'm going to explain that just now, but we've got this pink elephant and this thing is costing us millions, and the problem is we keep on feeding this right throughout our lives. So let me give you a little bit of a background and where it comes from, this concept. You see, during my webinars or seminars, I ask the question. That is after I've explained basically how the formula for riches works and in essence how to determine your financial freedom growth rate, and that your investment growth rate must be higher than your financial freedom growth rate. So I then get to a point where I say, let's assume that there's a method that will 100% guarantee you that your investment growth rate will be higher than your financial freedom growth rate. And let's assume that it's costing you, say, 100,000 or 50,000 or whatever. The price normally is totally irrelevant. And then I say, can I get a show of hands of those that is willing to pay this in order to learn a guaranteed method that will give you financial freedom? Not only freedom in terms of finances, but real true freedom, where you can do what you want to do, when you want to do it, how you want to do it, where you want to do it, without worrying about money. In other words, freedom to the sense that it's financial freedom, time freedom, the choice freedom, and the freedom of purpose. And then normally about 5%, 3 to 5% is going to raise their hands. So let's do the maths. There's literally 500,000 people that I normally target in Facebook ads. Out of the 500,000 people, normally about 2,000 people, and I'm going to break it down on the average figures that we've got, the maths. So 2,000 people will click on this ad to see what it's all about. Out of the 2,000 that click, in other words, these are highly targeted people that are really interested in learning more about their financial freedom and how to get to financial freedom. Okay, 500 of those people will actually book for the seminar or the webinar, and the way that they do it is simply by giving me their name, the email address and a telephone number, and then register for that event. Now, out of the 500 that book, approximately 100 attend. So I've worked literally from 100 backwards in terms of the figures that we've got, the maths. And out of the 100 that attend, normally 3 to 5% is going to raise their hands. And that's going to give us a percentage terms in terms of the 2,000 of 0.25%. Now, I don't know if this is coincidence or if it's the way that it works, but the one thing that I do know is that the math does not lie. And the math simply says to me that if we look at all the people in South Africa over the age of 60, we're going to find that 0.24% will have an income, a passive income of more than 25,000 Rand per month. And that is not necessarily indexed with inflation. But that gives you an idea. I'm not sure why, but that's the math. Okay, so let me ask you a question. The rest, and I address the rest specifically, because I can't help the 5% that raise their hands, because they've already made up their mind. They already know what it is that they need to do. So the problem, the education is actually to those that did not raise their hands. In other words, the 95%. And I asked them a question, but why not? Because I need to help them to identify the pink elephant or the blind spots that they've got. Unless they can see where they're going wrong, they will never be able to correct that. In other words, you need to become aware of what is causing the problem, what is causing us to be in the situation that we're at. And I call that the pink elephant, because there's a pink elephant in the room, or that's what I'm telling them. And that is actually, that pink elephant is in our mind, okay? And that is simply the excuse to invest in yourself. And I've heard many, many excuses over the last 15 years that I'm teaching people and that I'm helping them. You know, excuse like, I do not have the money. And all of these excuses to the person that is presenting the excuse is 100% valid, because that is what they believe and that is the reason why they're at where they're at. So I do not have the money. It's a valid excuse to them. It's not a valid excuse if you want to learn how to become financially free. But to them, it's a valid excuse. Or my situation is 100% different. Or, I must discuss this with my partner or my auditor or my hairdresser, or something like, this will not work for me. I've tried this before and it did not work for me. And the truth is, they could not have tried it before, because otherwise they would have different results, because I 100% guarantee all my courses. So it is impossible for them to say that I've tried it, but yet that is what they say. And they associate reading a book that has got maybe something to do with financial freedom, or to make money, or to invest in property, or they've attended another course, but they haven't actually done and followed the method or the system. Yet in their minds, that is the truth. That is the pink elephant. That is the thing that is causing them from getting ahead in life. Or I do not have the time, I'm too busy. Valid excuse, but it's a pink elephant. Or I first want to go on holiday and then I'm going to save up for it. Or I first want to pay my debt. If you really think about it, if your financial freedom growth rate is, let's say, 80%, and you can learn how to get 80% growth on your investment, it's going to take you many, many years in order to save at 10%. Say, for example, your bond repayments are 10%. Then at 10%, that's the total growth that you're going to get. It's going to take you literally 20 years to get out of debt. Now, if you can get 80%, you're going to get out of debt in a very, very short time. And then normally I ask the same people, I'd like to play around with groups, not always the same, but I like to play around. And then I ask them a simple question and say, okay, you're 40 years of age. When was the first time that you started with debt? And they would normally say between 20 to 25. And I say, okay, now let's take 5 years ago. How much debt did you have? More or less. And now 5 years later, is your debt more or less? And about 90% of the time, people are going to say, I've got more debt now than 5 years ago. So this pink elephant story that I will pay my debt is just BS, because it's just an excuse not to commit, not to take the responsibility in order to do that you're supposed to do. Right. Einstein basically said that you can't solve a problem out of the same consciousness that created the problem. And the problem was created by us, by our mindsets, by our way of thinking, by our belief systems, right? And if you want to solve that from and in the same consciousness that you're at, you're not going to do it. So the only way to be able to get over this little hurdle, past this pink elephant, is to literally think to where do I want to be? And that's why the why becomes the most important part in our lives. In other words, why do I want to be financially free? I wanted to be financially free to spend more time with my family, to be able to travel. That was one of the main drivers I wanted to go and see the world. I wanted to take Tanya to places because that's what she said to me when we met, that she would like to travel. And that is one of my motivations. I'd love to take my family with me when I travel and to experience places. But there's something else that I only discovered in 2002, and that is to have the freedom in order to teach, to help other people to experience that and to share with them the systems and the methods and the formulas that I've used in order to get to that position in a relative short time period. But the problem is, if you're in that same consciousness, you can't make that decision. That money, irrespective of the amount of money, will always be too much. The time will always be too much. You will not find the time. Simply because of this pink elephant, this excuses that we've got. Because that is going to keep you, and what's going to keep you in your comfort zone. And unless you get to a position where you make the decision based on where you want to be and not where you are, you're not going to make that choice. Right. So always, whenever you have to make a difficult choice or a decision, say, where do I want to be? And the story, how I did it, was basically in '84 when I wanted to attend the course from LNPs. I wanted to do it, and I knew that I had to do it. And he said that he'll guarantee that I'll become as successful as he was. In other words, in the top 1% of the top 1% of the top 1% in the world. And I desperately wanted to do that. But the only problem was it cost a lot of money. In other words, it actually cost me more than double my monthly income at that stage. And I sat with this choice and a little story, and I think I'll tell you more about the story tomorrow. But that story changed my life, and I realized that unless I'm going to make the decision as if I'm a top of the table producer already, I will never ever find the resources, because there will just be too many excuses. So here's the truth that I want to tell you. You're either good at making money or you're good at making excuses, but you cannot be good at both. And this is the thing that I've learned over the last, since I started with this process. There's excuses or there's results. And as long as you've got excuses, you cannot get the results. Right? So let's look at the challenge for today. I think the first thing that we need to do is to determine what are the excuses that you've got. Right? Determine the excuses and then determine what are these excuses really costing you. So here's how to take action right now to calculate the cost of feeding the pink elephant. Because as long as you do not address these excuses, you are feeding this pink elephant. You are feeding this blind spot that you've got. So the first thing, step number one, list all of your excuses. Each and every excuse in all the different areas of your life. Why is it that I'm not happy? Why is it that I do not have a great relationship with my children or with my spouse or with my parents? List that. What's the reason? Why is it that I'm not financially free already? What is that? And then, what is the cost of being in this situation that I'm at? And then calculate the cost in terms of your health and in terms of your wealth and in terms of the love and in terms of the happiness, because that's a good life. And if we understand the cost, what it's costing us for not being financially free, I'm sure that we're going to change our mind and that we're going to identify, and in this process we identify that pink elephant so that we can get rid of that. And then the fourth step is to take the first action step to get rid of the excuse. And then the next one is to take the next step. In other words, take a small step, a very small step. And as soon as that's done, take the next step and keep on working on this until you get your investment growth rate at least to be higher than your financial freedom growth rate. Now, sometimes it's as easy to follow a system where someone can show you how to get your investment growth rate to be bigger than your financial freedom growth rate. But the trick is to take action and to get started. Right, so in closing, always remember that in order to create financial freedom, you must make sure that today you will do what you're supposed to do. In other words, you must create perfect days each and every day of your life. And do so is the only way that you can guarantee yourself that it's going to work, that you'll be financially free. And that simply means that each and every day in your life, every day will require you to take the responsibility, to have the intent, to know exactly what it is that you want, to put in the time, to put in the effort, and to take massive, massive action and having the right mindset. Because consistently doing what needs to be done is the only way for you to get the results that you want. And each and every action that you're going to take today is either going to take you one step closer or one step away from the results that you want, and that is financial freedom. And it's the excuses that is keeping you from taking the steps. So you have to identify this pink elephant that you've got, or the pink elephants that you've got. And then you have to follow a strategy by making sure that each and every day you are working on getting rid of these excuses, the pink elephants. Therefore, I promise you that if you want to guarantee yourself financial freedom, right, I challenge you to make today a perfect day and to do what you're supposed to do each and every day. As always, if you've got any questions, comments, or suggestions to become financially free, please leave them in the comment box, and I will help if I can. And then remember to subscribe to my blog, that is blog.hannesdreyer.com, for more tips and strategies on financial freedom and how it can help you and benefit you. And then also regarding my personal heart rate challenge, yes, some feedback on that. I've done what I was supposed to do, so I feel good about that. And then please share this video if you think that it can help and benefit other people as well. And then I hope that you've enjoyed watching this video as much as I've enjoyed making this for you. Right, and then I'm going to see you tomorrow. See you.